purging is at last at hand. The day of doom is here. All that is evil, all that are lies, your parents, your leaders, those who would call themselves your judges, those who have lied and corrupted the earth, they shall all be cleansed.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to all who are listening, whatever time you've tuned in. Today, Knopf and Knopf. Oh Jesus, we're going to become like Brangelica. Knaz and Anoff have joined together to be with another guest. Some call him a Muslim scholar, some call him a conspiracy crank. We call him a friend, regular guest, Dr. Kevin Barrett. Thank you so much once again for joining us.
Well, thank you. And it's great to be back on my favorite interfaith podcast.
Podcast. Greetings to Dr. Barrett. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Happy to have you on. Honored and privileged to have you on. Yeah, no, I booked you for today. I had no clue that today was gonna be the day. Because I knew that the Hexet was gonna do this stupid Trump rally thing for all the generals and admirals, quote unquote, next week, but I didn't know it was gonna be this Tuesday. He actually just finished talking. So let me see what the live stream is saying. Yeah, so the live stream is saying is that Trump is about to speak any moment now. Right?
Oh,
wow.
I cannot wait for these words of wisdom to be dropped.
The words of wisdom. Oh, the words of wisdom are good. Okay, so Trump is on the tarmac with the journalists. So he might just start speaking about, hey, man, we're going to go to war with Venezuela and Iran at the same time. Right? So, we might see we might see it happen. Right?
I think he's going to order the whole military to go to Italy and he's going to make them cross the Rubicon River.
Yeah.
And then hail him as Caesar.
I mean, the thing I get with Donald Trump, Dr. Barrett may remember, Laverne and Shirley used to have this running gag where their upstairs neighbors, Lenny and Squiggy, would come in, and the cue word would always be something like, what kind of idiot would believe this? At which point the door would open and Lenny and Squiggy would come in and say, hello, hello. Every time Donald Trump opens his mouth, I look around for Laverne and Shirley. It is like a gag. It's like an ongoing gag. It's like nobody could be stupid enough to do this. Donald Trump.
What will he pick up next?
Yeah.
But Venezuela and Iran, I'm trying to figure out what Israel is thinking, if Israel is thinking. Because the last time they got into an exchange of we're going to fly over Iran and you're going to shoot missiles at us, they got the worst of it. They killed. That was a demonstration. That was basically a missile show. They're not prepared for what Iran is capable of shooting at them. Period. Am I missing something here? Do they have a secret weapon in their like the bottle? I can't imagine.
So, yeah, I checked the numbers and I went to not just Iranian and Russian and Chinese sources. I also went to Western sources. So my numbers are correct. In the 12-day war, what people are calling it, I call it round one because the war hasn't ended yet. It's just round one, right? Round one in the boxing match. The Iranians were firing volleys of 6, 8, 10 missiles at a time every 4 or 5 hours, right? The Americans, because again, the Americans sent the missile interceptors to Israel. Israel doesn't make anything, folks. It's a tiny, neo-settler crusader colony, right? America makes all their weapons for them, right? The American SAD interceptors, they were firing 5, 6, 7, 8 interceptors at a time for each missile, right? And the low-end estimate is 15%. The high-end estimate is 25%. So nearly a quarter, and at most, nearly a quarter, or at the bare minimum, around 1/5 to 1/6 of all SAD interceptors ever created. Yeah, that's right, ever created, has been used up in that 12-day thing, right? And so when people tell me America's going to fight China, right? Sir Malcolm and myself, we've come to the same conclusion, which is that it's not going to happen because Everything is being cannibalized right now to save their darling Israel, right? And if there is a round two, and let's say the round two goes on for 1 month instead of 12 days, let's say round two goes for 1 month and then there's a performative ceasefire, right? Well, at that point, Israel is out of interceptors and the Americans are as well, right? And then round three is going to happen and oh, you're just naked now. So this is the trajectory of events now, Sirkinaz, right? This is the trajectory of events, right? And he can yell as loudly as he wants about, oh, we are going to, regime change this or do this or whatever, right? Like, buddy, you are
You
just,
and what
what's
army? This
well,
is
like
yeah.
literally true, like literally true. It's like, what's the name of that thing? The Government Accountability Office. The Government Accountability Office, and these are mostly like citizens and stuff. They get like information about, the military and these types of things by freedom of information requests and that kind of stuff. 92%, right? And I'm not like, I'm not stuttering when I use that number. 92% of all ground combat vehicles and 80% of all ground support vehicles are now unusable due to lack of spare parts. America is in a state of catabolic collapse, advanced state of catabolic collapse. There's not going to be any ground war, folks. Like, what's going to happen is, their master, like, because they're a bunch of good goyim, right? Their master is going to be like, oh, America, be a good doggy and send us all your equipment. And that's what America's going to do, man. Like, they're not going to do, oh my gosh, we're going to invade Iran with 2 million troops. That ability no longer exists, right? So that's where we're at, Sirkinaz, right? It literally is like, when you ask the question, you and what army? That's literally what we're at.
Yeah,
You
I
and
mean,
what army? It
that
doesn't
is
exist.
the question it always gets to. Your
Yeah.
thoughts on this, Dr. Barrett?
Well, it's kind of puzzling, really, because what exactly does Israel think it's getting out of this? Like, we all know the U.S. isn't getting anything out of this, but that's not their job. The U.S.'s job is to just obey Israeli orders and
Oh
destroy
yeah.
all
Oh
of
yeah.
Israel's enemies. That's been our job since
Bingo. Bingo.
9/11. And
Oh
and
yeah.
so,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
but what are the Israelis getting out of it? Like, I just set out just minutes before the show, I sent out my latest American Free Press article in
Hmm.
which I made the point that these leaked Israeli documents that were published by Israeli Channel 15 or whatever it was, that were then picked up by, I think, only one Israeli outlet in English, totally blacked out of the Western mainstream media, show the transcripts of the Israeli meetings shortly before and during the war in June. And
Hmm.
those transcripts make it absolutely clear that the Israelis knew full well that there was no even remotely imminent Iranian nuclear threat.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
have Netanyahu himself talking about, well, yeah, there might be a nuclear, they might build a bomb in a couple of years. And then we had a reference from his top military advisor saying it was actually they were the purpose, the military purpose of this was simply to degrade Iran's position and then to lower their chances of getting a bomb in the long term. That was the direct
Yeah.
quote, in
Yeah.
the long term, which means 10 to 30 years in military parlance. So that showed that there was no such imminent threat. Now, Trump, of course, announced the Americans joining that war to bail Israel out by
Yeah. Yeah.
claiming
Yeah. Yeah.
that there was an imminent threat. And then the reporter asked him, but wait a minute, your own director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, said there wasn't. The Iranians were not building a bomb. And he said, well, she's wrong. And he went ahead and bombed Iran. So the question then is, okay, so the Iranian or the Israelis, they knew that there was no nuclear threat, and they've always known
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
So what are they really trying to accomplish? And according to those leaked transcripts, which I guess are the best evidence that we have, what they were interested in was, number one, regime change. They
Yeah.
targeted the
That's right. That's
supreme
right.
leader. They wanted to kill the supreme leader and as many top-ranking Iranians as possible. And then they also intended to empty out Tehran. They wanted to terrorize the people of Tehran into fleeing the city. And they
Yeah.
wanted to kill as many scientists, high-ranking scientists, as they could. And they imagined that by killing a bunch of leaders and scientists and terrorizing Tehran residents into fleeing the city, that this would then enable a regime change. So that was their real
Hmm.
goal, was to try to
Yeah.
get a
Yeah. Yeah.
regime
Yeah. Yeah.
change, according to what they
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
But that makes no sense because, and of course, if that was really their goal, it completely backfired because now everybody,
Exactly.
even the Zionists themselves, and certainly the Americans, that everybody now admits that the Iranian people have not only rallied behind their current leadership
Bingo.
in unprecedented numbers, since nothing going back to the time that Saddam Hussein attacked Iran back in the 1970s or say 1980s in post-war has seen the Iranian people unite like this. But they're also not only uniting behind the current supreme leader and the current regime, but they're also uniting, or they're moving into more and more support for what Foreign Policy magazine calls a new generation of hardliners. That is, people who are actually much more hardline than the current leadership, and those people support the wish of the majority of the Iranian people now to build nuclear weapons. So what we had was a situation where the leadership had support, but not this kind of massive support. So Israel succeeded in rallying massive support for a hardline policy in Iran. And they succeeded in causing Iran probably to actually accelerate its timetable and maybe even build nuclear weapons, which they could do
Bingo.
in a heartbeat.
Bingo.
According to Theodore Postel of MIT, it would take them about 5 minutes to build a dozen nuclear bombs. They already have the 60% enriched uranium. And once it's up to 60%, you can finish the enrichment up to 90% anywhere in any kitchen. And it's a simple, easy process. The hard part's already been done. And by bombing those nuclear facilities, what the Americans and Israelis accomplished was having that 60% enriched uranium stockpile completely disappear. Now nobody knows where it is. Before they were tracking it. The IAEA knew where it was. Now it's gone. And now the whole country of Iran wants to build nuclear bombs. So I can't imagine what the Israelis think they're getting out of this, other than doom, your favorite word. Well,
yeah,
I guess it's their word too.
No, they're basically, that's the thing with me. I mean, it's just this sense of puzzlement. What, you wanted to degrade Iran's nuclear capabilities, so you degraded 25% or so of your missile defense capability in Israel. What's the strategy here? I mean, what's the plan? That's exactly it. I mean, I'm still looking
it's
here.
Like the guy. It's like the guy at the roulette table, green 00 all in, right? And I'm gonna win because we're the chosen people. That's literally all this is, Sir Kenneth, right? That's literally all this is. It's like, what's the plan? Well, the plan is to gamble at the roulette table, right? And you lose the gamble, right? And America's doing the same thing. It's like this thing that's happening right now, this live stream thing, it's the same thing. It looks very grandiose. It looks like, oh my gosh, America's gonna kick ass and take names. Lady Liberty and Uncle Sam is about to unleash themselves on a poor, backwards, third world savage or whatever, right? None of this is true, man. Like, this is the death throes of empire, right? I mean, like, what was that number I saw? In the month of May, right? American soybean farmers, right? So we're talking about what? The Chinese market, which is about 50% of its entire revenue. So $75-80 billion of revenue. In the month of May, China completely divested itself from American soybeans. They just flat out said, yeah, no, because we're in a trade war, we're not even going to buy your soybeans, right? So all these Trump hucksters are like, enough, the tariffs have made us $90 billion or whatever in the last few months or so. Buddy, like, $90 billion, you're probably going to have to bail out your farmers for $150-200 billion right there, right? And then you have to send money over to your buddy Milei in Argentina, 20 billion, which we're already doing, right? Like, where's the upside for you? So, I mean, you gentlemen were talking about what's the upside for Israel? What's the upside for America? There is none, because both of them are shizos in catabolic collapse. They don't know what they're doing. And so now they're going to like try and exude this strength that they don't have. And that's what it is. Like, today, I expect Trump to go on a shizzle rant, right? I mean, we both have, not both, but all three of us have this stupid live stream playing on a separate tab, and we're watching it in closed captions. But I fully expect him to go full shizzle and just be like, yeah, we're going to declare war on Iran, right? Or something. If it doesn't happen, I would be surprised, right? But once it happens, I mean, there is no upside, right? It's just going to be like, okay, well, Straits of Hormuz is closed. Oh, we're going to hit you with missiles. Oh, Prince Sultan Air Base. Yeah, man, you're 5 minutes away. And, oh, what was that? You have this many Patriot air defense systems? Okay, then we'll fire this many missiles, right? It's mathematics, folks. I mean, it's like, well, enough, missiles are the primitive brown and black people's weapons, right? The jet, that's the white man's weapon, right? That's gonna destroy you. I mean, like, no, man. Like, you live in the past. You live in a world 40, 50 years in the past where, yeah, the jet aircraft did reign supreme for a while. And now, if you want to do an air war, you use missiles. And it comes down to who's got more missiles in the area. Does Iran have more missiles in the area? Or does Israel, right? And this is what people don't understand. It's like Iranian missile technology in the region is second to none, right? They don't even need a nuclear weapon. They can hit Israel and destroy it with just the missiles they have, right? The problem is the blowback, right? And that's why Iranian leadership has always been prudent about this. They're like, we have to bleed them out slowly, right? Because again, we have an obligation to our citizenship as well, right? Yes, we have 92 million people, but the Israelis have nukes. So if we fire too many conventional weapons at them, we can get nuked in response. And so, like, when I saw that Pakistan Saudi thing, right, the pact that they signed, I'm like, okay, Iran should endeavor to join it as well. I don't think it's going to happen, right? But I think I saw an Iranian major general sit down with Press TV, and he flat out said, okay, this is a good development. We should go in this direction, right? And I think, like, what Israel has inadvertently done is that it has made the most loyal and slavish Goy vassals of America look around them and go, holy shit, if Qatar gets hit, right, there's no, like, the master America is not going to help us out. The master America is going to go to their favorite master themselves, like Israel. And so we actually need to figure something else out, right? We need to figure something else out. And so that's what I think is going to happen, right? We're going to see the world order reshape itself, right? And it's going to reshape itself even though these slavish autocrats and these absolutely traitorous kings and whatever they call themselves, they're like, no, man, no, I want to kiss America's boots. Why won't you let me kiss America's boot? But, like, the Israelis are such genocidal psychos that they've made the pursuit impossible, right? Events and structural forces have moved in such a way and in such rapid fashion that, like, okay, well, yes, you can kiss my boots, but then my true master, Israel, will bomb Qatar, and this is what's going to happen to you. Like, if you're an autocrat in any of these places, right, the thing that you are most afraid of are your own people, right? They will rise up and kill you themselves if this is the pathway you're going to go to, right? And we are going to see that happen more and more, right? Do I think the Saudis and the Pakistanis came to this agreement because suddenly they love one another and, oh, Muslim unity this and blah? No, man. They're doing this out of brute pragmatic necessity. And you know what? We should thank the Israelis for that. They're bringing the Muslim world together, right? Because that's what, like both you gents were asking, what is the, objective here? What's the plan here? There is no plan. What there is chaos. And out of the chaos, we're seeing something new emerge.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, Egypt and Turkey are actually coordinating militarily now too, after being at each other's throats for the past 10 or 15 years. And so the whole region is saying, maybe the Iranians are right. Maybe the real security threat here is not Iran.
Shock
it's
Pikachu
actually
face. Iran is right. Iran is right. Shock Pikachu face. Oh my gosh. Oh, go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah. So the region is uniting because of this out of control behavior, and it's all so puzzling. This is one of the reasons I couldn't figure out really why, if October 12th, and of course they're coming up on that anniversary, they're going to have it's going to be another Holocaust thing with 30 billion, October 12th or October 7th Holocaust movies, and they're going to have 9/11 type of stuff that we had after 9/11 for a couple of years, reminding everybody about the worst Holocaust since the Holocaust, if not the worst Holocaust of all the Holocausts, blah blah blah. October 7th, evil Hamas swooping in on hang gliders to roast babies in ovens and all this stuff. But actually, it's clear that the Israelis themselves killed the majority of the civilians that died that day. And then the question is, was that deliberate, and was that part of a kind of a lie hop scenario, let it happen on purpose scenario, where Netanyahu allowed that raid to happen so that he could then take advantage of it politically?
Yeah.
I always said probably not, because
well, they have the Hannibal Directive, right? They have the Hannibal Directive, so it's like we will kill our civilians and our soldiers if they're about to be captured. So they probably did a lot of that.
Right. Right,
Yeah.
but see that doesn't prove that it was an inside job. And so my question is, okay, so if you guys who say it was a lie hop, that the Israelis deliberately let this happen, if that was the case, how stupid are those Israelis to do that? Because they were on the verge of getting away with murder. They were on the verge of being able to basically end the Palestine problem on their terms.
Sir Kenaz,
Maybe
I
not
think you didn't mute
maybe
yourself.
not
You gotta
expand to
mute.
greater Israel
Yeah, that's what I'm
immediately,
trying to figure out.
but they were in a really good position.
Just turn it off in
And
that
they had
case.
they had normalized with the Saudis, and unfortunately, I'm ashamed to say, with the Moroccans, and were and when they were semi-normalized with the Saudis, fully normalized with UAE and Morocco and a few other countries that were pressured by the American lapdog of the Israelis. So they were in a good position before
Sir
October 7th,
Kenaz,
and since October
could you
7th, they're
look?
behind the
Okay,
eight ball.
are you
You know,
still hearing
they're in a
something? I'm not.
strategically impossible
Yeah.
situation
You
and have
got
been
you
ever
gotta
since.
mute
All they
yourself,
can
Sir
do is
Kenaz.
slaughter civilians and become more and more
You
hated,
gotta mute
and they
yourself,
can't
Sir
defeat
Kenaz.
Hamas militarily. They can't get rid of the resistance. All they can do is piss people off at them. Israel is now hated everywhere, 100 times more than it was before October 7th, 2023. So what in the world are they thinking? Again, I don't understand the strategic objectives here.
Yeah, exactly. Just give me a second. Where's this? Okay. Okay. All right. It was on my end. My apologies. Yeah, no. I was wondering where that silly sound was coming from.
Oh,
So
I thought that was Hegseth's event.
That was what I
no, that
thought
was
as
the
well.
yeah, yeah, no, okay. My apologies. No, oh, I thought it was coming from Sir Kenneth. I'm like, wait a second, where's this coming from? It's that stupid live stream thing. But no, Dr. Barrett, could you just repeat the last 2 minutes? Apologies for that. Apologies for that. No, it's
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just talking about how we're coming up on the October 7th anniversary, and there's going to be all kinds of propaganda, and
yes, yes,
how
yes, 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 yes.
in my own 9/11 truth community, such as it still
Mhm,
exists,
mhm,
people like Richard Gage, for example, the
mhm,
Pope
mhm.
of the controlled demolition theory of 9/11, has been all over this October 7th inside job theory that the Israelis let it happen on
Yeah,
purpose.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so the question would be, though, if that's the case, how stupid can those Israelis possibly be? Because they were in a pretty good strategic position prior to October 7th. They were going
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah,
finish
yeah.
the Palestine problem off on their own terms, normalize with the region, and have a leg up on the whole region. And
Mhm.
now they're doomed. They've killed themselves. They've shot themselves in the foot. They're hated everywhere 100 times more than they were before October 7th. They've strategically downgraded their situation. They've won a couple of battles in terms of killing off some leaders that they didn't like, but they've lost the war because now the new leaders hate
Bingo,
them
bingo,
even
bingo.
more, and everybody else does too. All their old former allies hate them even more. The young people in the West have absolutely no use for them. So there are billions of people around the world who now see the Israelis as really it's personal. I mean, for me, it's personal. I mean, I'm stuck. The rest of my life, I'm going to be at war with these assholes. And a
Oh yeah.
lot of
Oh,
people
yeah.
feel that way. I
Bingo.
mean, I kind of felt that way after 9/11. That was bad
Exactly.
enough, especially once I figured out Israel did it. But boy, they've really, they've upped the ante for all of us and shot themselves in the foot 1,000 times. And
Bingo.
I just don't
Bingo.
understand what they can be thinking. Maybe it wasn't an inside job,
Yeah.
but
I
if it
mean,
was, they're really stupid.
oh, they're really stupid. I mean, my own theory is that it's a green flag. So it's true that Hamas, Palestine Islamic Jihad, they did genuinely want to do an attack, but they had no idea it would be this successful. And I think
Mhm.
on the Israeli side, what they did was they did Hannibal Directive and all this other bullshit to increase the casualties on purpose because they wanted the outrage and, oh, please feel sorry for us. The chosen people are getting gunned down and all this other bullshit, right? And I think that's what happened, right? I think it was a combination of the two, right? And why did they do it? They wanted to do it to get world opinion on their side, but because they're such fucking ethno-solipsist psychos, they're like, well, if we just live stream us butchering women and kids, everyone will love us even more. And, they were not entirely wrong. There are a bunch of terminally online, dissident, new right, whatever. They're like, oh, look at how amazing the Israelis are. They're killing the Muslim savages, right? But the majority of the world, they looked at it and go, actually, no, this is disgusting behavior. And these are just a bunch of pariahs that need to be taken out, right? And that's what the Israelis got. The
Well, they
Israelis,
got
like,
the Indians.
They got the
India
Indians on their
has
side.
basically,
Yeah.
India has been their greatest online defenders. The problem is
Yeah.
when India is your online defender, you might want to get them,
Oh,
could you
Trump
get
is
pissed
speaking.
off at us? Okay,
Oh,
let's
Trump
see.
is speaking. Let's see what Trump is saying. All
Well,
right.
I,
I'll
I think
turn
the
on this.
online Indians, they're like the call centers. They're like,
Yeah.
the Indians manning all the call centers. Well, they man all the Mossad troll units too.
Yeah, I've seen
Oh,
that,
that's
there's
just true. Yeah.
so many of those like units have come out like really angry Israelis online when it's like it turns out later, dude, you're in Hyderabad.
We have to secure the future for the white children and their posterity. Okay, location where this is being typed from, Mumbai, India.
Oh, Sir, please.
Oh my
Israel
God.
forever, full support. Yeah, Vivid,
Oh
a
my
lot
God.
of them. I mean, I'm like, I know the old jokes about you people being cheap and all, but did you have to hire India for your paid trolls? Could you
That
shake it
that's the
out a
thing. That's the
few
thing.
more shekels and gotten like, better trolls?
Sir Kenaz, that's the thing. These people, the racist, like whatever, new right, dissident right, whatever, oh, we're gonna fucking kill you. We're gonna do things to you that have never been done before. Buddy, you're so irrelevant that even your own online business that you don't get paid for, which is spouting racist and rightoid drivel, they've outsourced even that. Like,
You got the
it is,
trolls got outsourced to India. That's the
yeah,
funniest thing I've heard all week.
that got outsourced. And not only that, like, that horrific assassination that happened to Charlie Kirk, right? And look, he's a hateful guy. He said disgusting things about Palestinians and what have you, right? So I'm not at all sad that he was gunned down. What I am sad for is the fact that, children and their mom had to see it, right? And nobody should go through that. And nobody should go through that, including the Palestinians who go through it every day, right? And so that's the thing. So I'm not like someone who supports human suffering, right? But he was not a good guy. But like that guy, the reason I'm talking about him is that he gets gunned down, and what happens to all these terminally right people, right? They're like, we have to start a civil war now. Trump, you have to go after the left. And it's like, he's not gonna do anything, man. He can't do anything. Like 92%. Remember, what did we start the episode off with? 92% of all ground combat vehicles don't have spare parts. 80% of all ground support vehicles don't have spare parts. You know what that means? It means in the civilian side of things, if you're, deploying your goon squad and your thugs, namely the police and all these other guys, you also can't do anything. Like, this is the thing. It's like military affairs and civilian affairs are interconnected. If you don't have spare parts for one department, that means the other department's also going to be affected, right? And so it's like, enough. What's going to happen? Bro, nothing's going to happen, right? Trump's going to make a bunch of big noises. He'll do some performative cruelty. He'll get a bunch of like these Hispanic moms on tape getting brutally, like, violently assaulted by these like ICE and these other goons, right? And MAGA people will clap like seals, but nothing's actually going to happen, man. The country is slowly circling the toilet bowl, right? It's going to be one mass shooting here. It's going to be, oh, another Mormon church burnt down here, and so on and so forth, right? You guys, you fucking racist snobs, with your like civil war, you're not getting civil war against the left. You know what you're getting? You know what you're getting? You're getting 100 Colombias and you're getting 1,000 Balkans. That's what you're getting. All right. It's like that's what's happening right now. And so all this shit I hear about this and all this other stuff. I mean, look, you guys wanted to support the Israelis. You think they're the Ubermensch. You think, oh, they're beating up the Muslim invader. Well, I mean, okay, you're going to suffer the same fate as them. Israel will die roughly at the same time America dies. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, about Charlie Kirk, and whatever you want to say about him, as far as I'm concerned, anybody that Israel decides to have to go and assassinate is
Oh, he's
probably
a
got a
reprehensible
good
human
side,
being.
right? It's
Yeah,
got to be
yeah.
something
Reprehensible human
good
being.
about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Right. Whatever it was. Yeah. And it seems like he was starting to wake up a little bit, and he was,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe privately a little more than publicly, and it looks like that's probably one of the leading motives for why they decided to preempt him.
Exactly.
I don't know how closely you guys have been looking at the debate over that shooting, but it's completely insane. I mean, the official story of that shooting is really, if anything, crazier than the official story of the shooting of JFK. and you have the same, you have the magic bullet, you've got a lot of the same elements. Only in this case, there's a bunch of video that makes it even
Yeah.
more clear that it couldn't have happened the way they told us.
Yeah.
So it's instead of a Zapruder film, you have dozens of people with cameras, and yeah. So yeah, I think whatever you want to say about Charlie Kirk, he wasn't under so much Israeli control that they wanted to let him live. So I have hope that maybe Allah will forgive him.
Well, at the end of the day, we don't know what his end state was, right? So when someone dies and he's non-Muslim, well, I think the theological position is we don't know what his end state was. And so, it's up to Allah Most High. Also, the message of Islam has to reach you in the correct form, right? And if it doesn't reach you in the correct form, there is some degree of clemency that you can get, right? Fair enough, right? Fair enough. But again, when he lived his life, he was a reprehensible human being. The things he said about Gaza's children, the things he said about Palestinians, the things he said about Muslims, I cannot forgive that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again,
maybe Allah can, but you and I don't have to.
Yeah, you and I don't have to. There we go. That's the thing. That's the thing. So it's like, I mean, people want me to feel sorry for him. No, man, no. I feel sorry for the kids who had to see their dad get, bleed out, and I feel sorry for the mom and what have you. I don't feel sorry for him, man. I don't, right? And you can't make me.
Well,
I know where my
I think that's
moral
illegal to
priorities
say
lie.
that,
Yeah.
though, isn't it? I mean, haven't they
Oh
made it
no! Oh
illegal
yeah,
to-
exactly.
yeah,
Saint,
yeah.
they're trying to turn him into a saint or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's like the Holocaust. You can't express any doubts about the fact that Charlie Kirk was a saint. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but they're probably put up Charlie Kirk
One hell of a saint.
posters
One
in the
hell of a
Holocaust
saint.
museums.
I think what
Dr.
makes
Barrett, one hell of a saint. This guy
One hell of
was such a
saint.
saint. This guy was such a saint. He goes around talking about how the Palestine genocide is justified. One hell of a saint, folks. One hell of a saint.
Oh,
Go ahead,
I mean,
Sotan.
I think the thing that has galvanized the right in America about Charlie Kirk is this. Charlie Kirk, yes, he made some highly questionable statements about Palestine and Gaza. I'm not denying that. But in general, Charlie Kirk was somewhere to the left of a Jeb Bush. I mean, Charlie Kirk was not a radical right winger. This isn't Andrew Anglin on the Daily Stormer, with nigger this, faggot that. This was a mild mannered, very moderate evangelical Christian conservative. And
well, that's why the Zionists paid him.
well,
Oh,
yes,
yeah. Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
well, there's that. But I think for the right, it was okay. If you could shoot this milk toast, prove me wrong guy here for his beliefs, I'm in danger. I'm looking at the way your dad said you got people saying they should have killed his family too, etc. What are you going to say if I get shot? And nothing brings people together like fear. Absolutely nothing. So I think one of the things that happened there is the right has become more unified. There's a bit less infighting, whereas the left, all the politicians on the left, so far as I could tell, have issued at least the mandatory desultory, well, we're sorry for the family of Charlie Kirk. Political violence is never okay. But the people that are crowing loud and long and then just doubling down when called are, a lot of people on the left, and I think rightly so, think, maybe political assassinations aren't a good thing. Maybe we shouldn't celebrate them. And so I think it's caused a little bit of dissonance there in the United States. I don't think it's going to have a lasting effect other than you're going to continue to see right wing, what they're calling accountability culture, which is basically left wing cancel culture. My guess is that they're bragging, yeah, well, we didn't go through 10-year-old tweets to ruin somebody's career. It's like, well, not yet. I mean, this spiral always goes down. It never, nobody ever says, I got a little bit of power over my enemy. I've used it effectively. There's no more need for it. Let's stop. That's just not how we're wired.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think actually that rally round Charlie thing, trying to unite the right, as the famous that Charlottesville event was headlined. Well, this time they're trying to unite people around a martyr, around a sacrifice. It was a sacrificial event, which I noticed right away, which is why I became suspicious just from first hearing about it. The way it was being reported on was very similar to the way 9/11 was reported on, and Charlie Hebdo, where we're all Charlie, we're all with America after 9/11. Rene Girard, the French anthropologist and Catholic
Favorite of mine.
theologian, yeah, he comes to mind with his analysis of the way that sacrifice is used to bring societies together. That in fact it's this mechanism. He thinks that it's the main mechanism for holding societies together. Anyway, for whatever just one glimpse of that public sacrifice of Charlie Kirk was enough to convince me that something fishy was going on here. In fact, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the sacrificial magic Trump ear nick, in which Trump was magically saved by just turning his head in the nick of time, as it were, so that this bullet could just touch his ear enough to give him exactly the right amount of blood to smear on his face like war paint, but actually cause no injury that was ever documented in any way, shape, or form. And so I think they've got some people who are experts in creating these kinds of events where people, I think, really do get killed. I have no doubt that Corey Competore and the other people got killed in Butler, Pennsylvania, but Trump was never hit by anything. He just either smeared it himself or had somebody else smear some fake blood, World Wrestling Federation style. And I think the people who set up that event and had the real shooter behind the building where the ostensible shooter was, did the same thing, again, with the Charlie Kirk shooting. And the latest ballistics analysis seems to suggest that an actual shooting occurred, but from a different building from the one where this Tyler Robinson patsy was allegedly stationed.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is just the official story of this just falls apart so quickly, and you wonder, are they are they taking a risk when they do a sloppy operation like this? So far, they've mostly gotten away with these sloppy operations if they're big enough, if you create enough mass hysteria through a sacrificial kind of approach in the media. Like with the JFK assassination, they got away with an obvious coup d'etat. With 9/11, they got away with all kinds of huge mistakes, including blowing up Building 7, in a way that nobody could possibly miss what really happened to that building, and so on and so forth. And so again, with Charlie Kirk, it looks like they're hoping they can get away with this because everybody's been stampeded into this mentality where you can't criticize, you can't question. Anybody who looks sideways at Charlie Kirk is going to be, deplatformed. They'll never work in this town again. Their career will be ruined. I mean, the stuff that you were just saying, enough, is basically illegal in America right now. You can't even say, Charlie Kirk was a bad guy. Oh, you said Charlie Kirk was a bad guy. Heresy, quick.
It's the 2025. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the 2025 cancel culture. Like Sir Malcolm was, sometimes I read Sir Malcolm's tweets, but he was basically saying the right wing are doing this accelerated 12-year timeline. Like the left was doing this 2013, 2014. We're going to go after you. If you say anything bad about Black Lives Matter, we're going to get your career destroyed. We're going to get you fired. We're going to get you lampooned, shame you, and all this other stuff. And, the point he simply made was that this is a blind alley. Cancel culture doesn't work. If you fire someone, they're going to find another job. They'll figure something else out. They'll get a bunch of legal funds. And now you've made a bunch of new enemies who are going to be your enemies forever, right? This fucking thing doesn't work, right? And for a long time, the right-wing people, they presented themselves as, we are the reasonable ones. We talk with everyone. We are against cancel culture. And now, suddenly, cancel culture is amazing, right? And the point Sir Malcolm was making was that, okay, buddy, you were saying that this is a guy fiddling with his violin as Rome was burning. And now, when you've got the shot, instead of doing something about it, you're like, oh no, mom told you that, you fiddled enough with the violin. Now it's my turn to fiddle with the violin, right? And it's ridiculous. Like, this is a country on the verge of collapse, right? It's collapsing right now as we speak, in a certain sense, because the only thing people care about now is revenge, reprisal. How do I get my enemies? Oh, but I'm not going to do it myself. I want to goad someone else into violence, right? because I'm just a terminally online idiot, right? And and it's very predictable what's going to happen. If you're only capable of goading others into violence, you're going to get answered by a bunch of terminally online crazies. The people on drugs, right? The people who are just like, nihilists and whatnot, right? Which, again, I think Dr. Barrett's theory. It's entirely possible that Mossad looked around and they're like, oh, here's this guy who goes on Discord all the time and what have you. If we just pump him up full of drugs and like hypnotize him or something, we could get him to do stuff, right? It's entirely possible. Like all I'm saying is whether that theory is correct or whether the other theory is correct, which is like, this guy was just a moral nihilist killing Kirk. Both of them are bad because what it means is this is a country where
I don't think he was. I don't think he was even on the rooftop. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole thing was faked. I think he could be totally innocent and doesn't know anything
perhaps,
about this.
perhaps. It's entirely possible. It's entirely possible. I don't like. My approach to these things is it's entirely possible that you're correct. It's entirely possible somebody else is correct. My approach to these things is I only look at the secondary and tertiary effects. All right. So what is happening in America after this shooting? Well, what's happening in America is all these people are yelling loudly about, we have to start a civil war. And I'm like, okay, but you're a terminally online idiot who goads others into violence and you want the authorities to dirty their hands for you, right? You're not going to do it yourself, man. And what I'm saying is the end result of doing that is the crazies and the psychos are going to show up and do the violence, quote unquote, on your behalf, right?
Yeah.
So, that there you go. Best of luck for that. You've won the grand prize. What's the grand prize? The grand prize is 100 Colombias and 1,000 Balkans.
Hold up. We got words of wit and wisdom from Donald Trump.
From Donald Trump? What did he say?
Mr. Trump, the U.S. has extreme strength that has allowed my administration to engage in negotiations with the goal of ending the conflicts between Israel and Hamas and Ukraine and Russia. Together, we're reawakening the warrior spirit. I'm watching it on CBS News. It's a minute delay, but
Okay.
our position of extreme strength has worked to bring peace between Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Hamas. Well, if you want to call it extreme strength, and if you want to call it peace, I suppose it could be. I'm just
he's shooting a bunch of fucking speedboats near Venezuelan coasts, right? All these guys are fishermen. They're not a bunch of fucking drug dealers, right? And the reason he's shooting speedboats is because, again, he's got nothing else to do, right? What is he going to do? Is he going to land 5,000 Marines on Venezuela's shores? Okay, but the 5,000 Marines are going to die, right? Like, the Venezuelans have drones. The Venezuelans, they may not have a sophisticated missile arsenal, but they have drones and they have ASBMs, right? So, yeah, you can kill a lot of Venezuelans, but you're also going to lose a lot of Marines in the process. What the fuck are you going to do, right? And this is what he's doing. Like, I was very confused, right? I was like, okay, why is this fucker parking 1/6 to 1/5 of the entire U.S. Navy in the Caribbean? Is he trying to do a regime change? Is he trying to do an amphibious assault? Well, hang on a second. Amphibious assault doesn't make sense because he doesn't have the troops for it. So, and the conclusion I came to was that Trump probably was having one of his shizo episodes, and he was telling the generals and admirals, I want a quick regime change. And the generals and admirals were just telling him, sir, no matter what you do, we're going to lose lots of Marines, right? And so Trump, like a psycho, like a guy playing, like a little kid playing with his dinosaurs and his toy cars, he's just like putting everything in the Caribbean, right? And I think that's what it is. I don't think, like, is he shooting these speedboats because he really thinks that they're carrying drugs? No, I think he's doing it because he wants to throw red meat at his MAGA base to show them that, yeah, we're killing a bunch of black and brown people, and yeah, they're a bunch of drug dealers.
Does Donald Trump ever have any other motivation, though, than like, throwing red meat to his base? So far as I can see, this is the kayfabe presidency. It's like, okay, you do spectacular stunts. They're like kayfabe wrestling storylines. Like, okay, this week the Undertaker is going, like, Triple H is going to turn on the Undertaker. It's like, oh, this week, this week we're going to start shooting drug dealers in Venezuela coming in on fishing boats. It's like, as Dr. Barrett pointed out, as you pointed out, that's ridiculous. Those things aren't like, those fishing boats can't carry that enormous a quantity of stuff.
No.
I mean, it's like, okay, and we want to get fentanyl off our shores. Well, if you wanted to get fentanyl off your shores, you'd start arresting the Chinese who are sending it in. I mean, the Chinese remember the Opium War. This is a grand performance. That's all. Essentially, this has been a year and counting of grand performances. That's all it's ever been with Trump.
And that's what it looks like the speech is going to be. It doesn't look like he's going to be announcing war on Iran or we're going to give up on killing fishermen and actually invade Venezuela or whatever we thought he might be planning. It looks like just another Trump rally with a discombobulated monologue like the one at the UN.
Yeah.
Does appear.
That's what it looks like. Yeah. I mean, the government shutdown is like, what, a few hours away? Yeah, you could be correct, Dr. Barrett. It's probably like some bullshit. It's probably going to be like, I stopped 7 wars and I did this and I did that. Look at how strong America is. Like, the fact that you had to invite all the generals across the world, right, and put them in the same auditorium and say these words directly to their face, that is the clearest indication to me that America's collapsing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, this is a big performance. We've brought all the generals together to do what? To sit and watch the equivalent of an Amway sales pitch. You spent millions of dollars, not to mention putting all your top brass in one location at one time and televising it. Is not a good security move. I mean, yes, I'm sure we've got I'm sure we've got missile dispensers. I'm sure we got everything. You could take out a significant.
Well, wait a minute though. I mean, if Hani Hanjour, who was a guy who couldn't even fly a Cessna training aircraft, was able to perfectly target the Pentagon Comptroller's office on 9/11 using a hijacked 757. Who's to say that somebody might not be able to fly right into this thing? And
there we go. Yeah. There we go. Miracles happen.
I think one of the things, I don't know if it's great or not, that 9/11 did was it really. We had the Kennedy assassination before that, P. There was always, and rightly so, a lot of suspicion about what actually happened with John F. Kennedy, and a feeling that a lot of stuff was covered up for one reason or another. 9/11 just took that and kicked it into complete overdrive. I mean, the story as it's told doesn't completely add up.
Nope.
And that's, doesn't completely add up is like a charitable way of
that's kind of the understatement of the century. But yeah, that's what Tucker Carlson just hammered home to his audience, which is probably the biggest audience that anybody has now. He just released that 5-part 9/11 series. And actually, Ron Unz's theory about Charlie Kirk shooting was that it happened on September 10th. And on September 11th, Tucker Carlson had been scheduled to not only give a talk to the 9/11 Truth Conference in Washington, D.C., but he was also going to release the first episode of his 9/11 Truth series, which is, of course, the biggest media event ever in the history of 9/11 Truth. So that would have happened on the 11th, and then it would have gotten supported by Charlie Kirk, who's a friend of Tucker Carlson's, promotes his work to the chagrin of the Zionists, and has probably a similarly huge audience. So Ron Unz was suggesting that maybe the reason that the Israelis decided to take out Charlie Kirk at that juncture, maybe they had to rush it a little bit, they hadn't been planning it for so long, was not only was Charlie Kirk turning against them, endorsing Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, who were hardcore anti-Israel people now, as well as JFK and 9/11 truthers and USS Liberty truthers, but also, of course, Charlie Kirk was close, very tight with both of them. and would have
Mm-hmm.
promoted Tucker Carlson's 9/11 series. Now, I haven't seen it. I've seen extracts, but it's clear that Tucker Carlson has done a number on the official story of 9/11 and
Oh yeah. Oh
reached the
yeah.
biggest audience that's ever seen that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Except
Mm-hmm.
maybe if you want to count when I was on Fox TV back in 2006. But I didn't really get a chance to air a good 9/11 truth argument. I just got yelled at. So I think Ron's notion that the Charlie Kirk killing was partly to preempt that and to slow
Mm-hmm.
down the Tucker Carlson 9/11 series
Mm-hmm.
might actually have some truth to it.
That,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
You were with Bill O'Reilly, right? Like that fucking
Yeah,
idiot,
well,
or
first
who was
first
it?
I got ambushed by Hannity. Well, or
Oh,
originally,
that loser. Okay.
yeah, Hannity, and then O'Reilly kept pestering me to go on his show for 5 months. And well, he slowed down after the first couple of months because I told him I couldn't do it while I was still teaching that semester. But as soon as the semester ended in December, my promise to my provost would expire, and then I could do it. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I did Hannity in July and O'Reilly in December.
Mm-hmm.
oh, that must
Nice.
have been like my meetings of like great minds meet mediocre minds, the series.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
There we go.
yeah, I had no idea what to expect because I'd never watched these guys before. So it
Mm-hmm.
was, yeah, if you can watch my spontaneous reaction to kind of, I think the first time really I'd ever seriously watched Hannity was when I was on the show with him. And I wasn't exactly prepared, but it was entertaining enough that it got a lot of views.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it's it's an interesting way that Americans keep themselves entertained in the sense that, yes, the economy is collapsing. Yes, we are going broke and bankrupt. Yes, we don't have any military equipment. Yes, all of these other 50 things are true, and they're all happening at the same time, right? But no, America will never collapse, because, we are God's chosen or whatever the fuck. Like, America and Israel are meant for each other, folks. America and Israel are meant for each other, right? You got the farmer, you got the cattle. The farmer whips the cattle goes forward and plows the land, right? People ask me the question, enough, which is true? Does Israel control America, or does America have a colony named Israel? I'm like, you're asking the wrong question. I never see them as a separate thing. They're one unit. The farmer and the cattle are one unit, right? Farmer, whips the cattle, cattle plows the land, and that's how it is, right? Like, you know, Hannity and Riley and whatever, like, enough, does Mossad, they're all the same thing, bro. They're all the same thing, right? When Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinians, right? They're doing it by American weaponry, American blessings, and again, American intelligence officials, right? So that's what it is. I mean, the Iranians were right all along. They don't call it the Great Satan for nothing.
Yeah. Everybody's starting to admit the Iranians were right all along. I'm proud to have gotten involved with the Iranians finally. And I always thought William Rodriguez, my friend who was the last guy out of the North Tower, he barely survived on 9/11. He was the guy who
Mm,
got all those firefighters out or helped the firefighters get all the people out of the North Tower on 9/11, became a hero. And then became a truther because he'd heard all those explosions going off, including before the plane hit. There were massive explosions that killed and injured people in the basement of the tower before the plane hit the building. Anyway, he went public with that, and he originally way back early on was talking about this stuff. Where was I? Was I going to quote William Rodriguez as saying? I think I lost the point I was going to use Willie to make. But the larger point that you can't really separate the Israelis from the Americans, and the Iranians were right all along. Well, yeah, actually he was invited to Iran. He turned them down because he thought it would be bad PR. And then when Iran invited me a few years after that, I jumped at the chance because number one, I knew the Islamic Revolution wasn't really such a bad thing because I paid attention to it back when I was like a 20-year-old college student when it happened. And and then number two, I noticed that the Iranians were saying things about 9/11, about the Holocaust, these other issues you're not allowed to talk
mm,
about in the West, and they were free to talk about them and to say intelligent things about them, as opposed to the pablum that we get in the West. So I was
mhm,
very, very happy to get invited to Iran finally in like 2012 and discovered that yeah, they're especially the hardliners. I mean, the people that are demonized, the so-called hardliners in Iran, are actually the best people around. They're the smartest ones, they're paying the most attention, and they're the most courageous. They're willing to actually stand up for what they believe in. So, hey, a
Yeah.
shout out to the Axis of Resistance. I may be like a Moroccan, Sufi Muslim, right? Not of their exact sectarian disposition and whatever, but I think all Muslims today need to admit that the Iranians and their friends in the
Yeah.
region are the
Yeah.
avant-garde,
Oh
politically at
yes.
least.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I
Yeah.
think the 20th century began like with a communist revolution. I could seriously see a quote radical unquote Islamic revolution taking place, and not just in the Ummah, not just in or near the Ummah. Like I could see a lot of the revolutionaries who start realizing, well, we've been following the Marx playbook for a couple generations now, and it hasn't really paid out. We're not in power. Now it looks like they're doing good things over here in the Islamic world. So, I mean, I expect that. I mean, I think we're in a period where we go through this in the West, where there are periods where Islam is stronger and Christianity is kind of in a state of decline. It's never been in as bad a state of decline as it is now, but you know what I mean. I mean, I can definitely see 20, 30 years from now, the people looking to Iran and Khomeini the way they look to Che Guevara. And frankly, that would be several steps up.
I think that's
Yeah.
already true though, but like it's true in the sense that it's not really the Western world. If you go to Pakistan, for example, Pakistan, right? I mean, Iran and Pakistan have always had amicable relationships, but it's never been as close as before, right? I mean, you're getting to the point where the Pakistanis are just flat out saying that, yeah, we want to sign something formal with Iran, right? And they're working on it, and they might even succeed, right? And they're going to sign something where, like, yeah, Iran, we will help you out if you get like nuclear struck, right? We would actually use the bomb against your adversary, right? In such a situation, right? And it's like that. If you said that even 10, 20 years ago, it was unthinkable. It's like, no, only Israel has the bomb, and Israel just hits whoever it wants with impunity, and then mad starts, and then everyone dies, right? What I always like to remind people is that Pakistan and India are enemy nations, right? Each of them is not, both of them rather, are not signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, right? So, what does that mean? Okay, if you take two countries like America and Russia, right, their attitude is the nukes fly, first strike, second strike, oh my God, everyone is dead, now what, right? The Pakistan-India view is, okay, there's an artillery shell here, it's a nuke, I fire it, he fires an artillery shell back, that's a nuke, whoever survives, put on a bunch of gas masks and, march forward, and the war continues. That's their attitude to the whole thing, man. And so, like, when the Pakistanis signed that agreement with the Saudis, and I was watching it, I'm like, does this mean there's now a nuclear umbrella over Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Gulf? And I think we're headed in that direction, right? Now, the dream scenario is Iran joins this, right? I don't think it's going to happen. I think probably what's going to happen is, if there are other people who join this, it's going to be like Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, like those like, vassals and what have you. But Iran is already viewed by large parts of the Muslim world. And again, they're Shia and all this other, fair enough. But large parts of the Muslim world who are not blinded by these sectarian impulses, right? They look at Iran as Iran is the only major nation doing something about the genocide. Iran is the only major nation, right? Obviously, you've got Ansarallah, obviously, you've got everyone else. But those guys, again, who trained them, who gave them the weapons and what have you? It's Iran, right? Iran is the reason why the Palestinians have a seat at the table, right? They don't want to admit it, right? They're like, no, they have a seat at the table because of Saudi and no, man, no, they don't, right? It's not negotiations that got them this far. It is kinetic force, right? It is because Iranian missiles now, are able to hit Israel. It is now because, Israel's pressured from all these vectors. That's the reason why, the Palestinian people have a shot, right? It's not this other reason, right? It's not this other reason. And they can try and fake it, but Iran's stature has already grown across the world, across the Muslim world, right? Internationally, sure, fair enough. But like, whatever. I mean, the Americans are the great Satan. A bunch of Americans like Iran. A bunch of Americans don't like Iran. Whatever, man. I mean, the country's about to go tits up, bankrupt, and implode anyways. So it doesn't really even matter at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. All the smart people here in Morocco are now watching Al Mayadeen, the leaning towards Iran station out of Lebanon. We used to watch Al Jazeera, and somehow along the line we figured out that Al Jazeera, being in bed with Qatar, which is totally occupied by the U.S., but the U.S. allows Israel to come in and bomb it anyway. That maybe we need a little more of an independent viewpoint. So Al Mayadeen has been nonstop covering the anniversary of the martyrdom of Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, and it's just really beautiful stuff. I mean, this guy and the other martyrs of this fight against genocide. These people are real heroes. I mean, there really are heroes left on this planet at this time, and this is where they all are. I mean, so it's in a way, even though it's been annoying to move to Morocco and try to dive into spending a lot of time operating in Arabic. It's been an adjustment and stuff, especially with this genocide. It started just a few months after I moved to Morocco, and it kind of feels like my life here in Morocco for 2 years has been like 2 years of this horrible torture of watching this genocide keep going. But the upside of it is being tuned into the Arab media, especially the better parts of the Arab media, with Al Mayadeen maybe being the best at this point, and watching the heroism, watching these Hamas guys taking out Israeli tanks, from zero different distance. And just racing up to them and clapping on those magnetic bombs and racing away as the tank explodes. I mean, these guys who've defeated Israel in the military fight. Israel is good at slaughtering the women and children, but they're not so good at going into the tunnels, and they're still losing. They're still getting losing people every day. These are heroes. I mean, this resistance, the Houthis, the people in Yemen who've been jumping into this and taking a hit from it, and having their 36 journalists all murdered and hundreds more wounded, with the Israelis blowing up a building full of journalists in Yemen the other day, taking a hit from it. But they're doing the right thing. So we get I've got a front row seat here, watching real heroism in today's world, which you don't see very much back in the U.S.
Bingo.
Oh, hey, hold the presses. CBS News has released an update 10 minutes ago about Trump's speech. Trump talked about signing promotion papers for generals or admirals on gorgeous paper that he would also use when submitting senior officers for promotions. He went on a rant about Joe Biden using an auto pen, and then said, as leaders, our commitment to every patriot who puts on the uniform is to ensure that the American military remains the most lethal and dominant on the planet. And as I spoke, we're going to be a fighting and winning machine. We're going to spend more than $1 trillion on the military in 2026. Okay, that's they said 895 last year, so that's a little over a 10% increase in a situation where we're going into a war. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen. I know you all are more skilled in this sort of thing than I am, but you're going to need a lot more than a 10% increase if this turns into a shooting war.
Well, it's no amount of toilet paper dollars is going to save them. China's technological superiority is getting greater every day, and Russia's determination and arsenal, including nuclear arsenal, is undefeatable. And then Iran, as we've just seen, is undefeatable too. So what's left? I guess wasting money on gold-plated toilet seats and gold-plated promotion papers.
Yeah, Mr. Trump also said his administration will be expanding the U.S. Navy by 19 ships, including submarines, destroyers, and assault ships. Okay, how long is it going to take to build those 19 ships? I seem to recall
they're not going to be made.
Okay,
they're not going to be made.
How many ships are we making in a year for the military?
Chinese shipbuilding capacity is like 1,000% or whatever greater than the U.S.
I think it's something like 20, 25
it's actually,
times as much.
No, it's 200. It's 230. So it's not
Oh,
percentage. You have to
I see.
multiply it by 232. So,
Okay.
okay, so we have to understand what's actually happening, right? It's not just that the Chinese are accelerating. It's also that if you're in catabolic collapse, right? You're talking about the 10% increase. None of these things are going to get built. Right now, the unit cost for a SAT interceptor missile is like 14, $15 million, right? About 10 years ago, it was like $1, $2 million. So more than tenfold increase. Oh, enough. We can just print the money, man. Okay, but your industrial capacity is collapsing at a faster rate. If you're a company, a defense company, and you're like, hey, man, I'm going to do this contract for you and the procurement and whatnot, and oh, it's going to be $15 million per missile, you'd be an idiot to take that because, again, it's not going to be 15 million in the year 2028 or 2027. It's probably going to be 30 million or 40 million, right? It's not the money. The money is just one vector, right? What's actually happening is, again, lack of spare parts, lack of spare parts, lack of personnel, lack of all these. It's like, fuck, what's the name of that thing? So Professor Peter Turchin, he had a concept, and it was called, I think it was called the squeeze or something. He had an acronym for it. He had a very, very memorable acronym. I'm blanking out on it right now. But basically, you start off with these disparate forces like demographics, technological production, technological achievement, industrial production, and you have a bunch of these other categories, right? Individually, they're very, very weak, and they interact with one another in a weak manner. But then you just click the play button, and years pass, decades pass, and suddenly they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Then they hit the exponential stride, and then they start interacting with one another, right? So we've already hit that stride, right? There's not going to be like all the new things that the Army and the Navy are saying they're going to build, right? To replace their older stuff, whether it's the F-16s or like, this new tank or whatever, either they've been outright canceled or the funding has been completely gutted. Basically, if you want to know what that means, it means nothing's going to get built. Nothing's going to get built. And oh, by the way, these airframes that don't have any spare parts and whatever, yeah, we can't use them, and the entire thing will expire within 5 to 10 years because of like basic wear and tear. It's just going to be a fake and gay collapse, right? It's going to be a fake and gay collapse. All these people will beat their chests about, look at all these fishermen we killed off of Venezuela. We're the best country in the world because we can still do that. And that's how the country dies. It's not going to be like, do I think there's going to be an invasion of Venezuela? Maybe, maybe not, right? But there's not going to be a war with Russia. There's not going to be a war with China, right? They could try and start something, in which case they're finished, right? But like this idea of 2 million Americans going to Eastern Europe or whatever, that ship sailed a long time ago, gentlemen. Right? It's that's like that ability died maybe 10, 15 years ago, right? Now it's just like the cannibalization phase. Now it's just like Israel's going, all right, bro, we're gonna just, you're our cattle, you're our goy. You got this giant warehouse of rusted out parts and rusted out stuff. Send it all over here, right? Because we are your overlord, we are your master, we control you, we own you. Send it all over. That's what's happening right now. Like a bunch of foreign countries are now looting America for everything that it's worth.
Starting with Israel. Yeah.
Starting with Israel. Israel gets first dibs. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, ultimately, Israel may be seen as this parasite that took down its American host, killing them both.
That's essentially what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Israel is probably the symbol too that's going to mark the end of American empire. You kind of try to figure out, well, how are the historians going to figure out sort of when this American empire ended after World War II and the new period begins. And I think it'll happen after, the empire may be basically gone right now. The U.S. is no longer the world's dominant economic power, and quite possibly not the world's strongest military power either. It may be surpassed by Russia and China. Certainly, it has been surpassed by the combination of them. But when will the historians say it happened? And if they have to pick a moment, I would say when so-called Israel finally collapses, when it's gone, when it's militarily defeated, and essentially the people, the Jewish supremacists there have to go somewhere else, sort of like in Algeria when the French colonists mostly had to go home. after
Oh yeah.
De Gaulle gave up. So at some point, there's going to be that kind of surrender, like De Gaulle surrendering in French Algeria, and something like that's going to happen in occupied Palestine. And I don't know how it's going to happen. There are all sorts of ways, but I think it'll happen within a couple of decades, possibly, sooner than decades. And when that happens, that'll be the symbolic end of the American empire, because the U.S. again was cannibalized by the Israelis. It was taken over by them as giant parasitical tick swollen with blood has sucked all the blood out of the United States, and then they both die. The Americans won't be able to save the Israelis. It'll be too late for that. They'll be in chaos themselves. So I think that's the moment that it's going to be undeniable, and the history books will have to accept take that as the symbolic death of the American empire when Israel imploded.
Bingo, bingo, bingo. The Algerian War the official date is 1954, 1962. 7 years, over 1.5, 2 million people killed, right, on the Algerian side. French committed multiple genocides and ethnic cleansing campaigns. When French Algeria collapsed, right, and you had this mass emigration wave from Algeria back to France, right? The fundamental idea that the French had about themselves collapsed as well. And so the Fourth Republic collapsed. You had the Fifth Republic, I believe, right? America is going to go through something far more violent, because what's going to happen is it's not just our political idea of we, the Westerner, and we inflict ourselves on the barbarous third world brown and black Untermensch, right? It's not just that thing that shatters. It's also the theological frame of Israel as God's chosen people, and we are just a tool. We are just a good goy for these chosen people to inflict themselves on the world before the second coming and what have you, right? And it's not just, okay, well, the World War II religion of the Holocaust, and the Holocaust was a type of crucifixion, and, all these Jews died to teach us as humanity a lesson and whatever. It's not just that. It's all three of those at the same time, simultaneously, exponentially, right?
Oh, Trump is talking about Venezuela.
Oh,
You've seen the boats going.
Mm-hmm.
They can't find any more boats. They're pairing massive boats. Every boat kills about 25,000 people.
That's such bullshit, man. The boats have fish.
I
on
mean,
them, man.
where did you pull that out of your orange ass or what? I mean,
yes, he did.
Yeah, I mean,
yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yeah.
Every boat kills 25,000 on average. 20. Some people say more. You see these boats. They're stacked up with bags of white powder. That's mostly fentanyl and other drugs. I mean,
if he believes all that, if he believes all that, he should invade Venezuela, because it's a drug den.
I mean,
there will be no fishing today, he says.
Everybody knows. I mean, everybody with two functioning brain cells to rub together knows they're not going after Venezuela for drugs. There are other countries in Latin America that are much more responsible for that. But those countries don't have an Iraq-sized oil reserve.
Yeah,
right.
We know exactly what's going on.
They're cozying up to the axis of resistance too. I think that's a part of it. There was just a good piece by Don Jeffries, my colleague at American Free Press, pointing out he called it the Jewish role in the U.S. war in Venezuela. And it has to do with the Venezuelans having gotten closer and closer to the axis of resistance. And then they have all that oil, just like a lot of Middle Eastern people do. And you add all that up, and the people that run the world, the Zionist banksters and their friends, they look at Venezuela, they see the world's biggest oil reserves, and who's sitting on top of them? Some friends of Hezbollah. We can't let that go on.
Yeah,
I mean, I think we're also looking.
If they want to invade, like if they want to invade, they should invade. They should invade a country which has jungles 3 times larger than Vietnam. They should invade a country that's 50% larger than Ukraine, and they should invade a country that's got drones and speedboats from Iran. They should do it. Why is Trump hesitating? Right? If he thinks all the drugs are in there, man, go at it, bro. Do it. Show us how amazing America is.
I wonder if Venezuela's got any of those anti-ship missiles. I know Iran had gotten hold of Chinese anti-ship missiles back in 2000, which is one of the many reasons why that all-out U.S. war on Iran has never been able to happen. And I would think Venezuela would have gotten some of those too, which means these American ships are
I'm expecting if we attack Venezuela, The first thing that Venezuelan guerrillas are going to do is they're going to try to shut down the Panama Canal. And they can pull a Yemen. They don't have to blow up every ship that goes through. You sink one every week or two, the insurance rates go through the ceiling.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's all they got to do, by the way. That's all they got to do. They just have to fly a bunch of drones, and they got to show all the insurance people, yeah, man, the premium has to be this many percentage points higher. And suddenly, the traffic's going to come to a standstill, right? And then, again, they have to look at it and go, okay, well, America's brought this many ships. We're going to use this many speedboats, right? And we're going to try and sink one. Because, again, you only need to sink one ship. You don't need to sink the entire American fleet. You just need to sink one ship. Or you need to blow up, you need to blow up the top of one ship, right? And you get casualties, and what's Trump going to do then, right? Because again, America is a divided country, right? It is filled with all these people who talk a big game, who want to goad others into violence, but when violence actually comes to them, they lose their fucking minds, right? That America is in catabolic collapse right now, right? All Venezuela has to do is accelerate it. That's it.
Yeah, the thing is, if it plays out that way and you get escalation in Venezuela and maybe the Panama Canal gets shut down, then Trump and his military guys, they might decide to try to revisit the George H.W. Bush invasion of Panama and grab that canal that they say is theirs, because they've been threatening to grab Greenland and to grab Canada and to grab Panama and all this stuff. But the thing is, if they were to do that, if they were to really escalate there, well, number one, that's taken their eye off the ball where it matters with China and to some extent with Russia and Iran. But number two, it's going to alienate all of Latin America and rally Latin America against the imperialismo that people down there kind of have a grudge about for good reason. And so, Latin America right now is kind of split, right, with Milei in Argentina leaning towards Trump and most of the rest of Latin America, not so much. But just look at what's going to happen if this really escalates and Trump tries to invade Panama and seize the canal. That's going to make it really hard for Milei or anybody else that has any use for the United States to keep operating in Latin America.
Oh yeah. I mean, Milei is basically broke, right? Argentina is basically, I mean, they're going to announce it eventually, right? But they now have this new $20 billion US dollar swap line, right? By the way, folks, that money's coming from the quote unquote tariff money that they're collecting from you, the American business and the American consumer, which again, Goldman Sachs did the numbers, right? In June of this month, 86% of the money for the tariffs was paid either by an American firm or an American consumer. So again, they're taking your money and bailing Milei out, all right? So that's funny, right? So they're going to try and bail Milei out. I mean, if Milei goes bankrupt by the end of this year, they're probably going to dump more money in. It's a complete fucking mess. It's a complete fucking mess. I think there's no plan here. I think think it's just like America is floundering. America is trying to show everyone, no, man, no, we do have a grand master plan. We do have alien Area 51 technology that we can use against Russia, China, and Iran at the same time. No, man, no, this is not the end. The story hasn't finished. Meanwhile, this is like an 80-year-old grandpa who's trying to deadlift 700 pounds. He's gonna break his back and fail. Basically, that's what I'm seeing here right now. It's just it's pathetic to watch.
Trump is talking about Iran. The Iran bombing. We blew it right out of the water, and it was a beautiful thing to see.
He's mentioned it a couple of times.
He's just rambling. I mean, this is like sitting next to a drunk on a bar stool.
This is Joe Biden.
The first reference to the Iran bombing was Trump saying, "Oh, I talked to one of these guys who was on this crew, and they have to fly for 27 hours around the world." And I said, "How do you go to the bathroom?" And he said, "Sir, you don't want to know." So this is Trump talking about the heroes who bombed Iran. It sounds like they bombed it, with their excrement or something. And now he's talking about there's no more boats on the ocean. After he attacked,
there's no more boats on the ocean.
No more boats on the ocean. No more fishing.
Yeah.
We have great peace through strength. America is respected again as a country. We were not respected with Biden. They looked at him falling downstairs every day. Every day the guy is falling downstairs, he said. It's not our president. We can't have it. I'm very careful, when I walk downstairs for I'm on stairs like these stairs. I walk very slowly. Nobody has to set a record. This is this is
this is what you ordered us all to come from halfway around the world to Quantico, Virginia to listen to?
I have added respect I have a little bit more respect for our top brass because they're sitting there politely and listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
But don't go down the stairs. It's the one thing with Obama. I had zero respect for president as his president, but he would bop down those stairs. I've never seen bop, bop, bop. He'd go down the stairs, wouldn't hold on. I said, it's great. I guess
is he actually okay? Is this the actual transcript? Is that what he's actually saying?
On off. I'm reading the subtitles on the live broadcast. Yes, this is what they flew in all our top brass for this.
It's kind of an anticlimax. I mean, I thought it was World War III or something, and it's a comedy monologue.
I mean, it's a tragic comedy. This is like Paddy Chayefsky level. We get the president out, and he just does this long rant, just pan to the generals, all standing there with completely stone faces that start looking increasingly stricken as it becomes clear, our president is a bumbling buffoon.
Yeah, this is the guy in charge. This is the commander in chief. Yeah.
This makes Joe Biden. Look like the good guy. I'm sorry, folks. It's like it can't.
Yeah, it makes him have gravitas. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel a certain degree of sympathy for Joe Biden because he was an old man. He was essentially a sick old man.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who's not a lot younger than Biden, who's, Trump always talked this way. Trump was always famous for these kind of rambling speeches. But I'm looking at this, you're sitting in front of the top military personnel of what is supposed to be the greatest army in the world, and you're giving a speech about how Obama bops downstairs.
Yeah, I don't think he's touched on a single really serious point. It's like the whole thing is just this kind of bumbling monologue about how great he and his policies are. Okay, get to the point. What's the point of this? I don't know.
Yeah, what the fuck's the point?
Strange.
Yeah. So
yeah, it reminds me a little bit of, I actually included a clip of Rufus T. Firefly, the president, Groucho Marx's character in Duck Soup, who's the president of Fredonia and takes the country to war. And in, at his best, Trump has a little bit of Groucho in him. Like when he turned to Erdogan and said, "Oh, he knows stolen elections better than anybody." That was a Groucho line. But it is like, Duck Soup was this parody of heads of state being total buffoons and taking their countries to war in a darkly comic fashion. And Trump has a little bit of that in him. I mean, he is kind of like ever since Reagan, all the presidents have been in some sense entertainers, I guess. But he's taken it to the next level of stupid. I mean, it's just kind of mind-boggling to watch this.
It's kind of like a cross between Colonel Kurtz and Marlon Brando as Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now and like Gilbert Gottfried. I mean, I'm not sure whether to be terrified for our future or just laugh hysterically. I think I'm going to do a little bit of both. Saudi Arabia, great guy. I was with the Emir of Qatar. I was with the great leadership of UAE. I was over there. We brought back $2 trillion.
Dear!
And
we took their money and we let Israel bomb them.
Yeah. They ordered so much, and we all said essentially the same thing. They said 1 year ago, you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world.
The Saudis are scamming
We are the
you,
hottest country in the world right now, the absolute hottest country in the world.
We have oil sheikhs.
Nobody even.
I was Sir Kenas. So I was on this Twitter Spaces a few days ago, right? And I was trying to explain to them that America is going to die with a whimper, not a bang. And I was bringing up these numbers that, look, 92% of ground combat vehicles have no spare parts. 80% of ground support vehicles have no spare parts, and it's only getting worse. And they're like, well, warfare is immaterial, number one. And number two, what about all these all these trade deals he's signing? Oh, $3 trillion with Qatar and this and that. And I just like I wanted to swear at them for being so retarded, right? I left the spaces in like 2 minutes after that because I realized that I was dealing with a retarded bunch of people, right? But what I basically told them was, look, Trump has been president once before, right? If you want to know how this ends, you can study his first term, right? He signed a deal with Saudi Arabia, a trade deal, $600 billion. You know, you don't have to believe a single word I say. You can go online, waste 4 hours of your life, and check out, hey man, $600 billion. How much actual investment did America get? He's getting fucking scammed by a bunch of oil sheikhs, all right? A bunch of oil sheikhs are saying, we're going to give you $1 bajillion. They're going to give him pennies. That's what's happening, folks, right? And like, if you think the Qataris are going to give you $3 trillion, buddy, what is the GDP of Qatar, right? What is the GDP of Qatar? Give it to me, right? And then calculate the number, right? Calculate the number it would take with regard to like trade deals and whatnot. And it's just so stupid. People want to believe something. They want to believe that America has a rabbit out of the hat. America is this, America. It's complete delusion. Full delusion. You can look at all the numbers. You can look at the debt. You can look at the destruction, the catabolic collapse of the army. You can look at the civic strife. You can look at all these exponential trends. And it's like, no, man, a miracle is about to happen. Trump, the evil genius, is going to pull out the hat and America will all... No, it's not, man. Shut the fuck up. All right? This is ridiculous. This is getting ridiculous. It's just like...
This is, I mean, as far as it goes, I was in Israel in '87. I mean, there's a reason, like Arabs like Muslims in general and Arabs in particular are known for like honeyed words toward you. You know, you are my esteemed brother. It's like, that doesn't mean you're not going to get stabbed in the back. It's a nice figure of speech. Yeah, and it's that's, you know, the fact that the sheiks were nodding and telling you, oh, yes, and you are the greatest president, you know, I used to get like told like what a great person I was when people were trying to sell me wooden camels statues. So, you know, no, I'm not. This is like, the sheiks don't think you're the greatest president in the world, Mr. Trump.
But they know how to play him though. They did, like in Saudi Arabia.
You got to be
these
a
amazing, spectacular effects, visual effects, and sound effects. I forget the details, but they really did it up. They had a huge carnival to welcome him, and obviously it worked.
Yeah, well, Donald Trump's spine. Donald Trump's big thing is he doesn't really want power or money. He wants to be the center of attention. Once I figured that out, everything Trump did made, well, not all sense, but more sense. I mean, this is somebody who just, you know, he's got like the most powerful generals in the world. He's sitting here and he's talking about Obama basketball. And it's like, yeah, this is like Colonel Kurtz if Colonel Kurtz had Down syndrome.
Oh,
yeah,
dear.
Plus ADHD. Don't forget that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to watch
the
over.
Bob Woodward book said that in his first term, they would steal his presidential proclamations and stuff from his desk because they knew he would just forget about them.
Yeah. I sent you gentlemen something in the Zoom chat. So you remember all those sanctions Trump was talking about and how they're going to destroy Russia? And now he's talking like Biden again about how amazing the sanctions are. Well, gentlemen, here are the Russian fossil fuel importers in accurate as of March 13, 2025. So just this year, right? That's what that looks like. Sorry, European Union, you're not getting the Russian oil and the Russian natural gas. All of it's going to China and India.
Yeah, they're not like UK and like, well, that's about 80,000 barrels.
Yeah.
That's not a lot within a 3-month period. But
what I find hilarious, what I find hilarious is that these people actually believe their own supply. They're like, if we sanction energy, right, oil and natural gas, it's not gonna buddy. If I'm a fucking drug dealer and I go out into the parking lot, I'm gonna find buyers for my drugs, right? Oil and natural gas are like drugs on the global economy. You think people are not gonna buy drugs? You're completely insane.
No, I'm looking at this and The only thing we appear to have done with sanctions has been to strengthen the Russian economy. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah,
they're taking
yeah.
some hit from it, but they've weaned themselves off a lot of bad practices. Their currency's strong, and they're building a consensus of people who are really only united by one thing. We dislike America very strongly.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
the
brought
Americans and
Russia and
Israelis
China
together.
together. Russia and China united. That's like, I mean, that's not only is that unprecedented. I mean, Russia and China have fought multiple wars. Now you have them. Onoff knows it. The admiral who said like the one thing that would spell the end for the West was Russia and China joining forces.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Brzezinski
Yeah.
warned about that,
Yeah, I
among
mean,
others.
Brzezinski warned about it, yeah. Because basically what would happen is you've got the heartland, right, which is basically Eastern Europe, Siberia, and much of Russia. Then you've got the rimland, right? And the way Mackinder and these people and Brzezinski and all these guys, the way you do it is because you're the sea power, you have to use distance and a couple of these other force multipliers to keep it boxed in, right? But basically the main weakness of Russia is that Russia only has one warm water port, which is like Crimea and Sevastopol and that part of the world, right? The Baltic is not really, it doesn't really count in the sense that if NATO really wants to do it, they can do a blockade. And this is where Denmark comes in, this is where Norway comes in, and these guys, right? They could do a blockade, right? It would hurt them more than it hurts Russia, but it's feasible, right? But if you have China and Russia in the mix, that no longer matters because you now have a trade route from like Murmansk to Shanghai, and you don't even have to pass over when you're passing over the Arctic Circle, right? You don't even have to pass over the Canadian and American side. You can just pass over the Russian side, and you can get to the Chinese port with like what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance, and shaving off thousands of kilometers. I mean, you basically render the entire Western world irrelevant at that point because you have what's called uh, economies of scale and all these other things. You can now do it just with those trade routes, right? You don't need the Suez Canal. You don't need to go across Africa. You don't need the Panama Canal. You don't need anything. You just need that side of the Arctic. And again, Russia, I mean, is the dominant power in the Arctic. Canada and America is nowhere close. I think the Canadians have like 8 or 9 or 11 icebreakers, which are like low class, and some of them are dying and they're not getting replaced. The Americans only have 2.
The company.
Who's that? Trump?
that was Trump. Hold on, let me get him
Okay.
going again.
Is he
Yeah, but
breaking
like
in
the
on our
Russians
show?
have
Put him
like
silent. What?
put Trump on silent. We don't want to listen to that
Yeah,
diaper
no.
baby. Yeah, but
The
like
new F-47, we have orders for everything. They're going to make it faster, a lot faster
no, they
ammunition.
won't.
They have to make
No, they
faster. In the
won't.
coming months, we'll be making even more historic announcements to fully embrace the identity of the Department of War. I love the name. I think it's so great. I think it stops wars. I mean, if Allen Ginsberg had been a professional wrestler, he would have banged on a tambourine and come out with streams of consciousness like this.
No, that only on bad acid.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
United
No,
States.
I mean,
He wrote Howl on bad peyote, I guess. Yeah.
Enemies that are very ruthless, but like they can't match us. They can't match us. They don't even come close to matching us again. It's very important for us to say we have the greatest military in the world, but we make the best equipment in the world. I watched anti-missile missiles. I watched our Patriots just knock things out like a needle hitting another needle on the stage. There's a needle up there, and you send another needle up, and it hits every time.
All right, I'm gonna quote Trump. Okay, Trump. When you look at what we've taken in trillions of dollars, we are rich again. The other day they had $31 billion they found. I said, check the tariff shelf. No, sir, the tariffs haven't started. Evidence in that sector. Yes, they started 7 weeks ago. He came back and said, you're right. That's enough to buy a lot of battleships to use in old terms.
Check the tariff shelf.
Check the tariff shelf. Oh my God.
Shelf.
This is the meme. This is the hang on a second. This is the meme that you need. Brandon Eternity. This is the meme that you need. Uh, I'm gonna send it on the Zoom chat. It's just like, oh man, these people. He probably had a stroke or something. He probably had a stroke, and now he's just like mouthing off nonsense. $31 billion. Someone should tell him what a battleship actually costs, by the way. So it actually
Yeah.
doesn't buy you anything.
So
Yeah.
if he gets to the end of the speech and then he asks the whole room to assemble to, cross the Rubicon and pledge loyalty to him instead of to the Constitution, I don't know if they're going to do it.
I mean, some of them will. Most of them won't. They're just gonna be like, yeah, man, when can I emigrate out of this mental asylum known as America? Yeah, yeah, I'm an admiral, I'm a general, but I seek political asylum from this nonsense. It's
Yeah,
like,
maybe we should go start a country somewhere else with some good leadership.
Iran, could you take me in as a
Yeah,
refugee? I
yeah,
want to be a
yeah.
refugee. I'll give you the military plans and all the other shit for free. Like, I don't want to listen to this torture and crap anymore. Sir Kenneth, this is a big nothing burger. I'm disappointed.
No, I mean
I kind of
it's
expected this in a
okay.
certain
I
sense, though.
don't think it's necessarily a nothing burger.
It's
I
the
think
biggest,
it's
most
a
beautiful nothing burger
really,
the world has ever seen.
yeah, I think it's just a really kind of chilling display of just how incompetent our leadership is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
this is the man who runs our country. Like I said, it's just like I keep like it's like Marlon Brando put an orange toupee on and was just like sitting there and like just rambling at length. They're not going to stand our way again. You'll never see 4 years like we have been with Biden and that group of incompetent people that ran this country that should have never been there because we had the United States military, the best, the boldest, the bravest that the world has ever seen, that the world has ever known. With leaders like we have right here in this beautiful room today, we will vanquish every danger and crush every threat to our freedom in every generation to come because we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win.
Maybe the reason they ordered every single general and admiral from all over the world to come watch this in person was they knew that if they only broadcast it like on the internet or did it virtually, that most of them probably wouldn't bother to even show up.
Yeah, okay. Trump just walked away from he's kind of like strutting off and clapping there, trying to get I don't think he's trying to get applause because the generals, being generals, are just sitting there. When you're a 5-star general, a 4-star general does not applaud.
No, he snaps to attention and says, "Sir, yes, sir." But I can't imagine that reaction to this particular speech.
This is just, yeah, okay. That that to me was almost like to looking at this. I was just reminded of the Trump Biden debate. I mean, it was very much like that moment when it became really clear that, okay, we're not just, this is not just Russian propaganda. This man has dementia. It's like, okay,
yeah,
this isn't Russian propaganda. This isn't Trump derangement syndrome. This man is a genuine blithering idiot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. Yeah, that was quite the debate between the visibly senile incumbent and the uh, mentally challenged narcissistic challenger. Yeah, leadership ain't what it used to be, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah. That stunned me. I knew, it was a classic Trump speech, but it was like Trump turned up to 11. It's like you called this meeting. You brought brought generals in from all over the world, put all of our top brass in one room so you could give a rambling kind of nonsensical speech.
Mhm. Maybe Trump is a Russian butt, like everybody used to say, and this was a diabolical plot to inflict inanities on our top military leaders and maybe to drive them crazy. I mean, maybe sitting through this speech has actually impaired their mental functioning and knocked American military preparedness down a couple of notches.
Well, these men did show their, like, at least their
Stamina.
stamina. Yeah, that's it. This was that was awful. I mean, that's okay. That really, for me, puts it into perspective. You have, like, this is the perfect example of the American Empire in 2025. You have a doddering old. Yep.
Sir Kenneth, have we entered the Ottoman Empire zone yet, or is that still like?
Oh, I think we
is that-
entered the Ottoman Empire zone in 2020. I mean, personally, I mean, I think we've
All right,
entered
so
that. We may have
Trump's
entered it in 2016.
Okay. Trump is going to do official remarks and do an official announcement in 18 minutes. Sir Kenneth, what do you think he's going to announce?
Whatever it is, I'm sure it will be stupid.
He didn't allude to anything in this speech. I mean, there's no actual real world project that he even tangentially mentioned. So I can't imagine that he would be announcing anything serious, but who knows?
He might say that we're going to shoot more fishing boats. That could be what he announces. I don't know.
Yeah, we noticed we haven't gotten rid of all the boats on the ocean. There's still a boat on the ocean, and we're gonna have to blow it up.
There's a boat on the ocean. Oh man, this reminds me of that Roman emperor who declared war on Neptune and made his army attack the water with like swords.
Which one was that?
That was that Darius, the Persian.
No, I think it was Caligula. It was like
Caligula gets most of the awards for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe Caligula, maybe Nero, one of those guys. But like he said, I'm gonna declare war on Neptune, and you guys now need to invade the ocean or whatever. I'm like, all right, man, whatever.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh man, it's over, folks. It's over. Like we're seeing America collapse with it in front of our eyes, right? And Dr. Barrett, bang on the money, absolutely correct. I think like historians, in the dark age, in the de-industrial world, in the multipolar world, whatever we want to call them, if they're writing down the history books and you ask them, when did America collapse? They will say America collapsed shortly after Israel collapsed, basically, right? That's probably what we're going to be seeing. But holy shit, that speech was fucking retarded. So can I ask, on a scale of 0 to 10, how retarded was it?
Oh, on a scale of 0 to 10 on the retarded scale, it was potato. I mean, that's
potato.
That's the best way I can put it. This was just embarrassing. It was frightening. This is something you'd expect in Haiti. Like Papa Doc Duvalier used to get people to sit in his office for hours while he would just rant at them about like voodoo topics. This like Papa Doc Duvalier was smarter than this man.
Oh man.
It's like Papa Doc Duvalier, only white and stupid.
Yeah, they used to make fun of North Korean leaders for doing stuff like this, like, forcing everybody to listen to their stupid speeches. But this is kind of taking it to the next level.
I mean, North Korea actually builds apartment complexes and beach resorts and ski resorts, and they now actually have Russian and Chinese tourists showing up and making money, right? America is the new North Korea, and honestly, like calling America North Korea is an insult to North Korea at this point.
Well, I hear North Korean immigration agents when when you meet them at the airport are probably a lot politer than the American ones these days. The American ones, they might just steal your devices and demand that your passwords so they can suck up all the data, and if worst case they might actually kidnap you. And in some of these people, these just normal tourists have been held for like a week or two in bad, horrible conditions, based on basically nothing. It's like, oh, you're the tourist that won our lottery, and so we're going to treat you as if you were some kind of evil, illegal alien of the type that our president really hates. And so, I don't think North Korea does that. Andrei Volchek, who was one of my favorite regular podcast guests back in the day, and he unfortunately passed away several years ago. Shout out to Andrei in paradise, even though you're a godless commie. Andrei Volchek went to North Korea, among other places that are hated by the empire. And he said it was it was really not so bad at all. It was like he liked North Korea. He had a good time there. People, looked very clean and well developed and everything. And so all these images that we get from our media about these places are obviously gross exaggerations. They're designed to
Oh
make
yeah,
us
oh
almost as stupid as Trump and believe these kinds of
yeah.
cliched images that get tossed around in Trump speeches and in mainstream media reports.
Yeah, yeah. North Korea right now is roughly where China was in the early 1980s. And they're going to boom because, again, Russia, the investments coming in, China, the investments are coming in. They're going to boom. They have a lot of skilled, talented labor, right?
Mhm.
These are people who build missiles and whatnot. So, they don't need any help on the technology side. They have very, very skilled technicians. They have excellent geography. And again, all they really needed was some kind of investment. They needed a way to get around the sanctions, which the Iranians have advised them on. Hey, man, here's how you get around the sanctions, right? And that's it. That's it, good sir. And we're going to see North Korea boom. As America collapses, you're going to see North Korea boom. You're going to see everyone else boom, right? And, like, not all booms are perfect. Booms are always temporary, but there is going to be a boom period for North Korea, right? And we're seeing it happen right now. We're seeing it with the Russian tourists that are coming in. We're seeing it with the Chinese tourists that are coming in. It's going to happen more and more.
Mhm.
So there you go. What is Trump going to announce, Sir Kinaz? What do you think?
What is Trump doing now? I don't know. I think if I looked again, I might die of stupid.
You might die of stupid. I mean,
Yeah,
we have
You're
I
not
can't.
going to sit with bated breath, proverbial bated breath, waiting for Trump's amazing announcement coming up in 15 minutes. Can I
Yeah,
bait my breath for 15 whole minutes? I don't know. Probably not for this one.
yeah. I'm just this. I'm gobsmacked. I keep coming back to that. I'm like gobsmacked that this whole thing. Okay. Everybody complained about the 250th anniversary like event being like a shit show.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like it won 9 Tony Awards next to this speech.
Mhm. Well, one of the problems with the speech was not only was it so bad, but the buildup was like we all thought that he was going to announce World War III or the rapture, or or at least he was going to make some heads roll, fire these generals, promote these other ones, or maybe he's going to make them all swear allegiance to him by crossing the Rubicon. Something big. He's going to declare war on Iran or Russia or Venezuela. And all he did was brag about, blowing up a fishing boat, so there are no more boats left on the ocean. I mean, the contrast between the expectation and then the reality makes the speech seem even worse. It's like if you read a really good book and you go to see the movie and it's mediocre, it's like it's worse than mediocre because you had expectations it was supposed to be good, or somebody told you the movie was really good and so you went to see it and it wasn't so good. Now it actually seems really bad by comparison with your
Yeah.
expectations. Well, this was supposed to be a big, important, like, whoa, Trump's summoning every single general, every single admiral from all over the world to come packed into one hall, a big security risk. It must be really important. He's got some huge freaking announcement. Wow, I can't wait to see what it is. And then you sit through the second worst Trump speech of all time, and it's just totally rambling nonsense. Like what? WTF? That's probably the reaction that all of these generals and admirals
Now,
are
now we
sitting there.
know. Now we know how the Soviets felt as the country was collapsing, and all their generals were saying, we're gonna do a coup and save the country any moment now. Now we know how they feel.
When they're forced to listen to Brezhnev in his worst
Yeah.
senile moments, like going droning on for hours, that's probably how these guys feel too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man. What is happening? What is happening? Trump speech. Let's see. Let's see what's happening. So,
I mean, we could look at the bright side though and say, well, the
yeah.
speech was horrible, but I mean, at least he didn't declare World War III, right? It's really
Yeah,
better that it wasn't exciting.
I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
didn't declare World War III, but I find myself just about as frightened by the fact that this man is holding the reins of power. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of an apocalyptically bad speech, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Trump opened his speech to senior military brass this morning by daring the generals to walk out if they didn't like what he had to say. Then he warned, quote, "There goes your rank, there goes your future," unquote.
I dare you. I double dog dare you.
Yeah. You have to listen to my retarded, Brandon type, senile, stroke infested, like, you gotta listen to my octogenarian rant, otherwise I'm gonna fucking fire you. Oh man. Oh my gosh. These people.
But-
2 minutes into his speech to military leaders, Trump is ranting about renaming the quote-unquote Gulf of America. Yeah, sir, Kenaz, I mean, we're going to see a lot of memes for this speech because it was so fucking retarded and pathetic, right? But I think the doomers are correct again. I think, like, you and me, we both said that, yeah, this is probably going to be a fake and gay, like, slow-rolling collapse of America. It's not going to be like a World War III spectacular or whatever. Like, I think we're going to see that.
Yeah, because it's kind of like with the Soviet Union collapse. I remember Brezhnev. I want to say it was Andropov after him. I don't remember the last people before Gorbachev because they were just essentially complete geriatric non-entities. And this guy is a geriatric non-entity who has who's had a television program and was on WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Oh,
it may wind up being like the British Empire, where, after World War II, the Brits, they lost their colonies, they lost their economic power, they'd lost all their gold, Roosevelt basically stole it. And then they kind of woke up one day and realized that they weren't what they used to be when the Suez Crisis happened. And suddenly, Britain, which thought that it was still sort of running the world, and together with France and Israel, they were no longer able to get away with stealing the Suez from Egypt. And basically Eisenhower just said, no, you can't do that. And they all rolled over. And that's the moment, like when we look back historically, a lot of historians would say, yeah, that's when it became clear that the British Empire was over, even though it was over earlier than that. And so I think something like that's going to happen again in the same part of the world. Then, again, when the Zionist entity goes down and the Americans can't prop it up, that's sort of like when the Brits can no longer take Suez.
Yeah. I think
Well,
that's
that's the
correct.
thing with empires falling. There's always like a bunch of times you could have pointed to it. I mean, we classically say end of the Western Empire was 476. You could say it was 378, the Battle of Adrianople. Where they got there. We're already, we're not yet at the point where the barbarians are overrunning our borders. Hold on. Okay, next. Well, I mean, it's like but to me, this reminds me of that late stage Soviet stuff. You've had our last two leaders have been kind of bumbling geriatric non-entities.
Yeah. By the way, I sent you gents a picture. This is a photo taken towards the very end of the speech. Those are the facial expressions of all the generals and admirals watching Trump speak. So those are their facial expressions.
So how did you send that? Did you send it on email, or is that in the
No, it's on the Zoom chat. So
I see. Okay.
So
I will.
So click on the chat button. You should see all the messages.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the expressions of people that are like, why, my time is valuable. Why are you wasting it with this?
Yeah.
Did you find it, Dr. Barrett?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Yeah, they look less than totally enthralled and inspired. That's for sure.
I mean, this guy, let me see. This guy on the bottom, I'm gonna say bottom right-hand corner, this black dude, he's just like making that face people make at their like uncle's wedding, and he's like, did he have to say that, man? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, and the guy directly behind him, like crossed the two guys, although they're pretty glum too. And then, but the guy straight behind him, he looks like he looks kind of pissed off. Like what am I doing here?
I think a lot of them have that expression of like, what am I doing here? And like, this. Okay, tell me at some point he's going to yell April Fool.
Yeah.
Nothing burger. Big fat
Okay.
nothing burger.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean, as Dr. Barrett wisely pointed out, at least it's not World War III for now.
Yeah, yeah. I was expecting maybe if he was going to do something like this, he would do that Reagan joke where he said something like that we're bombing Russia in 3 minutes, and then tap 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 1 2 3 testing. We're bombing Russia in 3 minutes. Uh, that famously got a rise out of people back in the Reagan administration era, but wouldn't put
Yeah,
that past Trump.
yeah, yeah. All right, let's see what Trump's gonna do now. I mean, so Kenneth, you want to torture yourself more?
Where's it on? What's just send the link. I
Let's see,
will.
White House. Let me see, White House. If I go to White House, all right. So the full speech is available. Is there a live here? President Trump. Let me see. President Trump press remarks. Countdown and more. Okay, we don't care about that. Shutdown deadline. Okay, 13 hours left. What do you think, gentlemen? Is there going to be a shutdown for the government?
My guess,
13 hours, 2 minutes. Yeah.
good chance, very good chance, tremendous chance, very good chance. A lot of people ask me, do you think this like there's going to be a shutdown? And I tell them why I really can't say right now, but
Are you practicing talking like Trump?
yeah, that was
Jeez. Uh 2 minutes. So he said he had a fake and gay 96-minute speech, right? How fake and gay are going to be the remarks to the press, gentlemen? What are our predictions? What is he going to say to the press?
they're going to be more hostile to the press.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know if he'll dare them to walk out on him, but if he did, they might, a couple of them might take him up on it. Yeah, he
Oil
doesn't like the
prices
press.
extend. He does not like the press. Big
No,
breaking. I'm just seeing.
he likes generals. He wants to try to sort of kiss up to the generals, but not the press.
Not the press, exactly.
That was not the face of a bunch of happy generals I was seeing there.
Well,
There's two
couple of
headlines.
them yeah.
Trump delivers meandering speech to generals summoned to Quantico. That's the Independent. And NBC is Trump's opening remarks draw chuckles from military leaders. Well, he got some chuckles anyway.
I want to see the Fox News take on this. I just want to see how
You want
Fox
to?
tries to spin this. No, not really, but I feel compelled to for the same reason you rub one rubber next when going past an accident.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. What a fucking circus, right? By the way, this is why I don't take the right wing seriously, right? When they say return to tradition and this kind of stuff, bro, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This guy can't even speak properly, right? You live in a corpse. You don't live in a country. It's a fucking corpse. You're trying to animate a corpse. It's like, what? Why did we just watch? It's not how a country speaks. It's not how a leader speaks. It's how like a buffoon speaks, right? So,
Well, in Trump's defense, like if he were asked, to give some sort of after dinner speech at the Rotary Club, and or the Oddfellows Hall, in some small to medium-sized American town, full of over the hill, drunks and stuff, and they had an audience of 15 or 20, inebriated townsmen, that his approach would work. I mean, it would be appropriate, right? But he's not ready for the Borscht Belt in terms of his comedy, even though he is funny, but it's mostly unintentional. So yeah, you do have to just kind of shake your head and wonder, what were people doing when they voted for this guy? I mean, I remember thinking, well, it's refreshing that Trump says all these insane, but sometimes insanely sort of evilly true things about like Ted Cruz's dad killed JFK. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And 9/11, that didn't happen the way it's supposed to. And people were dancing on 9/11, and it must have been Arabs. No, it was Israelis. Trump. But he said all this crazy stuff, and
Yeah.
it was kind of refreshing. I mean, he was so goofy, and politics in America is so idiotic anyway, that it was kind of refreshing to have this particular type of extreme idiot, jumping in. It was like, I remember when I was at the University of Wisconsin as an undergraduate, there were these comedians who ran for the student government thing, and they won. And they won because they were called the Pail and Shovel Party. And they
Pail
ran
and
on a
Shovel
platform.
Party.
They were going to rename the University of Wisconsin-Madison the University of New Jersey. And their most famous thing they did was they put up a replica of the top of the Statue of Liberty on the ice of Lake Mendota, so it looked like the end of Planet of the Apes. And they also did stuff like they had this fake religious ritual where you would go through and get baptized as the Church of Looney, this or that or something, and then they would give you a big whiff of nitrous oxide, the dental inebriant or whatever. And so these guys, they were clowns, had a sense of humor, and won the student government in a landslide because nobody really cared about student government. It was kind of amusing to to vote for people who were parodying it. And in a way, Trump is like that. He's like a parody of a leader and a speechmaker, right? And so at some level, when you're disgusted with the whole taking this thing seriously, you find that the guy who's parodying it has a certain appeal. And I think that's the secret to his success.
Yeah. I think you're correct. I'm just like, if you check out my Substack now, I've just gone full. I've taken the gloves off, balls to the walls. I mean, I wrote an essay a while ago. I think it was I do like an essay every September 11th or whatever, right? And this time it was called 9/11 Broke America, right? And yeah, I mean, I just don't. America's not a serious country anymore, folks. Sorry, but like, it's just like this entire thing is a facade. And you know what? I should do this, right? Let me just read this out as we're waiting for Trump to do his bullshit, because I think this is relevant, right? And shameless self-promotion, but I guess I'll promote my work a bit. Okay. 9/11 broke America. A false civilization was unmasked that day. Steel, debt, and no saints. All right. Yeah, I mean, the towers fell in smoke and ash, and 24 years on, the empire still shuffles forward, broken, hollow, and incapable of change. What was revealed that day wasn't collapse, but the truth that there was never an American civilization to begin with. The empire lingers only as machinery dressed in flags, a corpse mistaken for a nation, forever stillborn and utterly non-existent. And then I quote Louis Veuillot, a French writer and politician, 1813-1883. He wrote this for L'Univers. He wrote it around 1840-1850. So this is his quote. This is him speaking. Okay. It is easy to see where North America stands at present and whither it is tending. Its rapid progress due to the most degrading works has fascinated Europe, but the results of this progress, exclusively material, already appear. Barbarism, profligacy, general bankruptcy, systematic destruction of the native races, idiotic slavery of the conquerors, bound to the most trying and repulsive of lives under the yoke of their own machinery. America might flounder in the ocean once and for all, and the human race would suffer no loss thereby. Not a saint, not an artist, not a thinker has it produced, unless one may term sought the aptitude for twisting iron for the construction of freight trains. The priests who wear out their lives there cannot create a civilization. Thus far, there is no civilization in America, and as far as appearances go, there never will be. I mean, gentlemen, when I saw that speech, I think I gotta say, Louis Veuillot got it right. He wrote over 200 years ago. I mean, nearly 200 years ago. He got everything right.
Yeah, well, the French are famous for saying that the USA is the only country that's passed straight from barbarism to decadence without passing through the intermediary stage of civilization. And I always tended to agree with that.
Yeah. So, Sir Kenaz, I think, Sir Kenaz and Dr. Barrett, I think all of us, we don't want to torture ourselves watching any more mediocrity. So it's been like 2 hours. Do we want to call it quits here, or like we want to keep going?
Yeah, I'm slightly overdue for going down and having lunch with my family, so I probably should call it quits. And if Trump says anything important, just be sure and text me or something.
Well, we'll
Fair
send
enough,
you an
fair
email. Yep,
Fair.
we will send you
Yeah,
an
yeah.
email if Trump says something stupid. But no, we won't, because if we did that, your email server would collapse in a week or two.
You
know,
take
it's-
down the
We'll
whole
have you
internet.
back on the show, Dr. Barrett. Thank you all for thank you. It's an honor and privilege to have you on. We will definitely have you on a few weeks or months from now. You'll be a regular guest. Because again, I think like collapse is accelerating, and we need all your takes and whatnot of all the bullshit as it keeps happening. But no, thank you for giving us your time. Apologies for torturing you with that mediocrity. With
Well, thank you.
Trump's
It's a
speech.
lot more fun to watch that with you than it would have been without you.
Watch it alone. Yeah. No, thank you, Dr. Barrett. Thank you
Yeah.
on off, and to our audience. Like I usually I'm going to change up our ending a bit after watching that speech. All I have to say, all I can really say is this time the dumb cometh. Now, thank you very much, guys. And, what do I think is our future with Donald Trump as our president?
Your soul is mine.